So, what on earth does a Persian poet from 700 years ago have to do with a super modern model of the human brain? I know, it sounds like a weird mashup, right? But stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to see how these two ideas unlock each other in a pretty mind-blowing way. Okay, so listen to this line from the poet Hafez. It was written back in the 14th century, but I mean, come on, that could have been tweeted yesterday. It's sharp, it's a little bit dangerous, and it's incredibly ambiguous. And that word right there, ambiguity, that is the key to this whole thing. So that's the big mystery we're tackling. How does a poet from a totally different time and place create something that just keeps feeling new and relevant forever? Is it some kind of magic? Or is there actually a mechanism behind it? Well, it turns out the answer might be hiding in the way our own brains process reality itself.
To crack this thing open, we need a new lens. We're going to borrow a couple of really powerful ideas from a field called brain kinematics. It gives us a whole new language for talking about interpretation, not as something you just do passively, but as a real, active, almost physical process. So let's break it down.
First up, stress. Now, I want you to immediately forget the kind of stress you feel about work deadlines or being stuck in traffic. That's not it. In this model, stress is way simpler. It's just a fact. Any piece of reality your brain bumps into, a beautiful sunset, a political argument, the feeling of falling in love, it's all just raw input. Okay, so your brain gets hit with a stress, a fact from the world. What happens next? Well, it doesn't just passively record it like a camera. No way. It gets to work. It wrestles with it, it molds it, it tries to make sense of it. And that active internal process of interpretation, that's what we call strain. It's literally the brain wrestling with reality. And what comes out at the other end of all that internal wrestling? Well, you get what's called a strain package. It's the final product. It's the story you tell your friends, the metaphor you come up with, or, if you're Hafez, it's that perfect line of poetry that captures your whole interpretation. So let's just put it all together real quick. You see how the cycle works? A fact out in the world creates stress. Your brain interprets that fact through straining, and then the poem or story it produces is the strain package. But here's the kicker. That package then goes out into the world and becomes a brand new fact for someone else's brain. It's a continuous loop. All right, enough theory. Let's take this shiny new model and point it directly at Hafez. What were the facts, the big stressors, that his brain was dealing with all the time in 14th century Shiraz? What was the raw material he was working with? I mean, his world was just buzzing with tension. You've got political instability everywhere. He relied on kings who could be gone tomorrow. That's a huge stress. He saw religious leaders preaching one thing and doing the complete opposite. Classic hypocrisy. That's a stress. He felt this deep spiritual longing, but also loved the beauty of the physical world, knowing it would all fade. You guessed it, another stress. This is the stuff his poetry is built from. Now here's where it gets really, really cool. Hafez doesn't just write diary entries saying, "Boy, things are tense." That would be boring. Instead, his brain strains these huge abstract tensions into a cast of symbolic characters. He creates these archetypes that literally walk around embodying these conflicts. Let's look at a couple. The preacher? He's not just some guy. He is the strain package for hypocrisy, the tension between empty rules and real sincerity. The tavern? It's not just a bar. It's the answer to social oppression, a symbol of freedom. And the famous beloved in his poems? The beloved is the ultimate symbol of the strain between earthly love and something divine. You see? Each character is a solution to a cultural problem. And out of this whole cast, there are two characters who really stand out. They are the main event. They represent the central conflict, the biggest stress that Hafez seems obsessed with trying to figure out. Their battle is the engine for all of his social critique. So in one corner, you have the Zāhid, the pious hypocrite. This is the guy who follows all the rules on the outside, but is totally empty and corrupt on the inside. He's the embodiment of false authority. And in the other corner, you have Hafez's hero, the Rend. The Rend is a rebel, an outsider. He might break the rules, but he is 100% authentic. And this is the absolute key. For Hafez, the Rend's messy, sinful authenticity is way more holy than the Zāhid's perfect hypocrisy. So this brings us all the way back to our original question. We can see how Hafez's world created stresses that he strained into these amazing poems. But why does that 700-year-old strain package still connect with our brains today? The answer is just incredible.
Hafez didn't just create strain packages. He created ones that are infinitely restrainable. His poetry isn't a static object. It's designed to be a process. And he pulls this off through two absolute genius-level mechanisms.
The first trick is something called a fractal unfolding of meaning. Just think of a fractal, where you can zoom in forever and the pattern keeps repeating. A core idea in his poetry does the same thing. One generation might interpret it through the lens of myth. A few centuries later, people restrain that exact same idea through religion, then philosophy. And today, we might even see it through the lens of something like quantum physics. So what's so profound about this is that none of these interpretations are wrong. The mystical reading isn't less true than the historical one. They're all just different zoom levels on the same essential pattern. It's amazing. Each era gets to reshape the poetry to make sense of its own world. And the second mechanism is the communication cycle. So remember, the facts of Hafez's world stressed his brain, and his straining created a poem. But it doesn't end there. That poem then becomes a fact that stresses your brain. And as you read it, your brain straining creates a new personal meaning. Meaning isn't just sitting in the text. It's created in this incredible loop between the poem and every single new reader. I just love this quote. It captures the whole idea so perfectly. His poems, his ghazals, they're not fixed objects. They are dynamic strain waves. How cool is that? They're like little ripples of energy sent out from the 14th century, carrying all those tensions right across time, just waiting to be felt and reinterpreted by us, right here, right now. And that just leaves us with one last big thought. If a poem can be a dynamic wave of energy, and if meaning is something we co-create together, what does that change about how we interact with, well, everything? All art, all media, even just how we talk to each other. It suggests that communication isn't just sending data back and forth. It's a living, breathing process of stressing and restressing, forever.